So I guess the first thing I'd like you to do is tell us who you are and what you do.
My name's Nicole and I'm a swimmer.
Okay, great. Nicole, um, I guess one of the things I'd like to know is in terms of swimming, being a swimmer, what are some of the body types that are demanded in that particular sport?
I think it's really hard because you kind of have two sides. You're like, okay, the swimmer side, and then you're like, okay, like I'm a girl, and this kind of body type is like accepted, I guess, or well wanted. And I think like as a swimmer, you definitely do build a lot of muscle, and you kind of get this body that's super strong, and you kind of get like a buffer. A body, I guess you could say. And I think for some girls it's hard. Even like for me, like when I grew up, like my shoulders got really broad just because I swam so much. And that's what you want when you swim, but then you kind of like come back from, okay, I'm a swimmer, and you're like, I'm a girl, and some girls are like, I feel uncomfortable with my body because I'm so muscular, and like you look at these girls, the ones that model and stuff, and they're very small, and as a swimmer, you're not small, and you're not supposed to be small. And then you kind of have this idea, and I know a lot of swimmers and a lot of girls who will be like, I have like a man-type body because you're so built up and you're so, like you're so muscular and you're just a lot bigger than someone who wouldn't swim or wouldn't do as much exercise. And I think that makes it really hard for some people. Like even for me, like sometimes I would be like, I wish like my shoulders weren't this broad. I wish like my arms like weren't as muscular as they are. And I think it's really hard to have like the connect between the two, like, okay, like I'm a swimmer and I need this kind of body to swim, and okay, I'm a girl and I kind of want this kind of body, and you can't really have the two, and so it makes it a little difficult.
So, in terms of media dictates of what is beautiful and the needs of your sport, have you ever encountered a clash in that dynamic where you try to have this media inspired ideal of beauty, but at the same time maintain the sports physique that you need? How do you deal with that?
I think that it's really hard, and I definitely like had a hard time with it.
Like how?
Well, also with swimming, you exercise so much, and so like you're used to being like, okay, like I get home from practice and like all I want to do is like eat all this food and like do all these things, and then you have all these people around you that are like, okay, I need to like watch what I eat, I need to watch, my weight, or like they're a lot smaller than you, and then you see like on the media everyone is a lot like nobody kind of has this build that swimmers have, and you're kind of like, I'm torn because I need to be one way, but I feel like I need to be another way. Like for swimming, I'm building this muscle and this is like good and it feels good because you're swimming, like you feel kind of powerful in a way. But then you come back and you're around other people who don't swim, and it kind of makes you feel bad because you're like, these people that don't swim and might be like a lot smaller than you, like that's the way you're portrayed to think that you need to be, if that kind of makes sense. Like you think, okay, in order to be beautiful, you have this idea that you have to be smaller and you have to, yes, obviously be fit, but not be super muscular because that's like the way guys are. But then you swim and that's kind of the way you are. And so it's confusing, I guess, because there's different ideas of beauty. But for me, I think that what helped was I kind of got the idea that like beauty comes from inside, not like inside you, yes, obviously personality-wise, but I think it's that you have to accept the fact, okay, I like the way I look, and if there's different body types for everyone, and you might not ever look like someone who just naturally has a different body type. You're never gonna look that way. And I think once you accept that, then it makes it a lot easier. And it's also it's like loving what you do. Because if you love to swim, I think you just kind of have to put that in your head and you're like, when I'm in the pool, when I'm swimming, that's what makes it worth it. Like that's what makes me feel good, rather than, okay, I'm not gonna swim because I want to look a certain way. But it definitely is hard coming from, there's like these two different worlds.
Well, speaking of kind of media portrayals, media dictates of beauty, uh, who is a performer that you, in your mind, who is a performer that you would like to look like?
hard. It's a hard question. I guess there's kind of, I'm very torn because like as a swimmer, I wouldn't be like I want to look like that person, but there are swimmers that I'm like, I want to be like that person. Like I would want to be as fast as that person. And when you see that, and when you think of like, when I think of in that sense, okay, I want to be like that person, I don't think I want to be them because they look a certain way. I think of them like, I want to be able to accomplish what they accomplish. But then if I look at like a TV, like a movie or like someone on TV, I would look at them and I'd be like, I want to be with them because of, be like them because of what they look like. Like I want to be maybe like as skinny as them or have like their hair or something like that.
So who is someone who, like, you love her hair or you love whatever about her?
I guess that it's also how people present themselves. And I think I know what I kind of look for when someone presents themselves a certain way. So I think that when I'm watching a show or like watching a movie and I see someone who kind of presents themselves like standing tall, kind of like proud of who they are, and they also have like I don't know exactly a person, but I would just say like certain features that like I wish I had. I'd be like, okay, I wish I looked like them. Like,
So list off some features that you have seen in media, either sports figures or celebrity performers. Favorite hair.
favorite hair. I guess if someone's hair that I would like would be like when their hair looks kind of smooth. And I guess it's kind of a thing if you always want what you don't have, because I guess like when I see like brown hair, I'll be like, wow, brown hair is so pretty. Like I want brown hair and it looks so smooth and soft, and I'm like, I wish I had brown hair, but I don't. So.
In terms of, then, can you think of a performer who you aspire to be like, as opposed to look like? Aspire to be like.
Well, I guess I want to talk about, I guess, characters more than like people themselves. Like I was saying before, someone who kind of presents themselves as tall, like independent, smart, those kinds of people, I look at them, I'm like, some things they do and like the drive they have and the motivation they have, that kind of thing that I'm like, if they do those things, if they show me that like they have drive, they have motivation, they're independent, they're smart, that kind of stuff, I'm like, I really want to be like them, like I look up to them.
I'd love to hear what else you have to say about body image and media and go ahead.
Well, I think this kind of has to do with, like you were saying, because you're looking at like how they help people. You were asking a celebrity and then you're looking how they help people. I think in swimming, it's definitely like helping people makes you feel good and makes you feel better about yourself. Because I know for me, like I've swam for so long, and I actually am like a certified swim instructor. And I know for me, like I love to swim and I love the strokes and I love helping people. And so when I'm able to sit down and help like a younger kid, like I give swim lessons. And when a kid comes in and doesn't know how to swim, and then I help them, and even like the smallest thing that they do, I get excited myself. I probably get more excited than they do. But I get excited because I'm like, I've helped someone and I've pushed them to get better, and they can swim now because of me. There was one time, because I work at a camp and I teach kids to swim, and there was a 10-year-old who came, and we have to give like a swim test to see how good they are at swimming. And he came, a 10-year-old, and he couldn't swim, and all of his friends could swim, all like the kids his age. And he couldn't swim at all. We had to give him a life vest. And I worked with him, and maybe after like 3 days, he was swimming like across the pool, and that kid like could never be happier because he was like, now he can go swim with all his friends. And he felt pretty bad about himself. And for me, that was probably like one of my most rewarding moments, because I was like, I helped this kid who had no idea how to swim, and he felt very alone. And I think for me, that made me feel better about myself, and kind of anything where I was like, oh, I feel like sad about myself, I feel like I don't do enough, that helped me definitely be more happy with myself.
I love that. Are there any swim sports, swim figures who you feel like, not so much this performer, but this sports figure, I really like what they have done. I aspire to that.
Like, done in what way?
For their community, like what you were just describing about what you do with the kids when you go to camp.
Partly, it's like if I see something, like if I see a celebrity or like an athlete do something that I would like to do and I see them help in a way that I would like to help, that helps me, like that makes me want to go do it. But I don't think there's one person that did something and I was like, oh, let me go do that. It's more from inside of me, I guess. It's when I feel like I need to help, when I feel like I want to help, because I think that I'll get the most out of it when it's coming from myself.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.